What's up, guys? Maritime Spook here, and I just got something to share with you guys, and something that I've been carrying for about a month. And I kind of established a little protocol with, folders. It's better to carry them for a while than, you can do an overview of them, which I have another one to do of a Russian knife, the Prime, very quickly to do here soon. But it's nice to carry them, and I've been carrying that Prime as well, so I can just give you a better idea. And what this is, guys, is a cold steel Finn Wolf. Absolutely excellent knife, and you're gonna right off the bat recognize it as, looks like a bushcraft knife because it's modeled after a bushcraft knife, the Puko. Has a Scandinavian grind, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and it has the rounded pommel on the back, which there's a knife that's called, you maybe already know it, or if you don't, it's called the Martini Lumberjack, and it's a very distinct looking knife. There's some more that sort of look like them, and it's got that kind of shape to it. So dual thumb studs, and very grippy thumb studs that work really well. It's got a Grivery handle, which they call olive drab. It's more gray color, but in some light you can see a bit of green. It's a really cool color, actually. It's got the super tough cold steel Triad Lock, which is a lockback mechanism that locks in absolutely perfect, and it's easy to open and deploy. And when it's locked in, guys, this is one of the toughest, probably the toughest folder I've handled in a long time. And I would have no problem probably with taunting with this knife or anything. I wouldn't even worry about that lock at all. So that's one good thing. And that's what another sort of use we'll get to is where your EDC knife, guys. It's probably smarter to have something that you could do anything with. If you had to really take the knife past where you're comfortable, that's a knife that usually you have on you. So hard to use EDC, for sure. Finn Wolf. One thing with this, guys, and we're going to get to it right now before I go into anything else, is that this came with a very sharp Scandinavian grind, and that's one of the selling points to this knife. But I heard there are some heat treat issues with some of them. Not all of them, but some of them had heat treat stuff going on. And unfortunately, I was carving with this one day, and I noticed that it had some dings in it. So I went ahead and put a secondary bevel on there, and you can barely tell, but it's just a slight bevel, and it's making it easier to sharpen. And then I have absolutely no trouble now with using this, hard use wise. And it's, super easy to sharpen now, guys, just because of the shape of it. So I fixed that. And also another thing, when you get these, guys, this is a known thing with these, is that the lock is going to be one of the toughest locks you've ever seen. You're going to think the knife's faulty or broken or something, because you're going to, when you go to open it, and you open the knife, it opens fine, but when you go to close it, until this is broke in, and in which it will break in, it breaks in awesome, but until it's broke in, sorry about that, guys, until it's broke in, you may have trouble with, thinking something's maybe wrong with the knife, but there's absolutely nothing wrong. It's just that lock is so strong, it's just got to break in, and it takes a little while, and then it breaks in fine. So, deep carry, pocket clip here, and it is reversible to side. It's not, for tip down, it's for tip up only. So, a lot of people prefer that anyway. And just very super ergonomic, because it is based off of Puko, and of course a Puko, as we all know, is a bushcraft type knife, and they're made for carving wood and for uses like that, and making trap triggers and whatnot. It's an excellent knife for that. This knife puts me in mind, guys, of something like somebody, if they had a trap line, or if they do, like me, I do a lot of hiking up along the coast here. Just something that's lightweight, and you can do a lot of tasks with it and not worry about it. But do a little bit of carving with it, and this thing, guys, takes off material like a chainsaw. Like, it doesn't take off just little curls and stuff. It's hard to explain. It just takes off like a ton of material, especially like I put that secondary bevel. When I first had just the Scandi, it worked really well, and it was more like fine, but once you put a secondary bevel on this thing, this cuts awesome, actually. And like I said, I have no problem with, putting notches and stuff with this thing or anything, guys. This thing's rugged. And that's what I like about it. I had a friend, guys, who, a little side story here, but he had a Husqvarna pocket knife that his father got him when they bought a couple new chainsaws. And he carried that for years, and that thing was tough, and I would like to find one eventually. But it puts me in the mind of that one. It's actually shaped the same way and made kind of the same way. And I see this knife and that, and it kind of gets me excited that way, because it's just, you know, it's a tough knife. And it's actually been hard to carry many other folders that I have. I have a really awesome one from Kizlar Supreme that I have to show you. That's called the Prime. I've been switching back and forth carrying that one and then this one. But this is just an excellent knife, guys. So that's the Cold Steel Fin Wolf, the Triad Lock, Grivery handles, you know, reversible pocket clip. Changed the grind with a secondary bevel, so it's you know, more conducive for some of the harder stuff, I would say. And like I say, with that, other than that little lock thing that it breaks in a day anyway, this thing is awesome, and I recommend it, guys. It's got a super strong tip for a folder, and it's very thick for a folder as well. Easy to deploy. You can spidey flick it, they call it. You know, no problem. Flick it with your middle finger. So I mean, I always like to close it with two hands, but you can close it with one, but you got to be careful. Get that to shake down and shut it. But I just close it with two, because if that thing comes down on your finger, it's gonna be like a guillotine. That's so sharp. But anyway, guys, that's a Cold Steel Fin Wolf, and there's one thing I wanted to show you that's really cool that I have sitting here, and I just thought it was really neat, and that's going to be the last part of this video. But check one of these out. They're an excellent knife. This is a Cork fishing implement, I guess you call it, and I saw this idea on Instagram and on Pinterest one time, and I have my Gray Ghost fly that I got from in support of the Atlantic Salmon Federation, guys. If you're ever here in New Brunswick, Canada, and you have time, there's an interpretive center here in Shamcook, New Brunswick, and you can go there and learn a lot about salmon and a lot about the people that have worked to conserve the salmon here in you know, the Maritimes. And this fly here is what they would call the Gray Ghost, and it's one of the flies that they tie right there on site. And every time you buy something like this, it goes in support of the Atlantic Salmon Federation. So I got a couple of them, and I got some other stuff this summer when they open back up that I want to grab, and I grabbed a few things anyway, a hat and some other stuff. But and I've just got one of my favorite kind of lures here with a 3-prong hook, and I've got some smaller hooks and 20-pound tri-line. And this stuff here is rugged. You can sew with it. In my belt pouch that I have on, actually my Hidden Woodsman belt pouch that I even have on my belt right now, I have a needle or a couple sail needles, and this is what I'd use for thread, even to sew yourself up or to sew a jacket or anything. And that tri-line comes in handy. So any way you can roll that. And obviously you see the room I have there. I can fit way more hooks and I can fit way more line, but that was just more to try it out. So, you know, anyway, guys, I wanted to show you that, the Cork fishing system, and this wicked Fin Wolf knife, guys. Excellent knife. I implore you to check one out, and I just really like it, and it was one I want to share with you. And I have some other stuff coming up, guys. Put that right in my way. I have some other stuff coming up. So stay tuned and take her easy, guys. Stay safe. This Maritime Spook signing out. Keep a stick on the ice. Cold Steel Fin Wolf and the Corkscrew Fisher. Take her easy.